And now, live from the Blazing Press Studios in the tundra regions of North America, it's Late Night with Robert.
Okay, guys, what's happening? Robert here once again. Late night broadcast west of the Rockies. It's late night with Robert Bell. Oh, I just had to do that. I just had to put that music on. It just reminded me of back. Whoops. That reminds me back in the day when I used to listen to Art Bell. How many of you guys out there used to listen to Art Bell? I mean, there's still, program is still on coast to coast. It usually comes on late night. What is it, about 11 o'clock, and it goes to like 1 or 2 in the morning? I guess it depends on where you're at, too. But yeah, it's like a live program, one of the most popular talk show programs probably ever on the radio was Art Bell. And it was, but it was really late, you know, kind of like right now. Actually, it was probably even later than this. I just remember listening to him and hearing some really weird stuff, man. Really weird stuff. I did have a very weird experience with this one guy that actually called in. I actually talked to Alex Jones on Art Bell. It's kind of weird. He had opened up the phone lines, and I happened to be the first caller. I was like, how in the world did that happen? And but this one other experience that I had on the Art Bell show was this guy that called in, and I don't know if any of you guys are listeners to Art Bell. Let me look at your stream. By the way, we're streaming live on Rumble right now too. They fixed it. I asked them to fix it, and they fixed it. So Restream software now integrates with Rumble, so I can stream to Rumble now as well. So I'll be restreaming on Rumble too. But everybody's over here on YouTube. So everybody likes YouTube. You know, people like the way the stream is. Some people don't like YouTube, and they've got reasons for why they don't, and they like Rumble. So there you go. We've got Rumble going on as well. The algorithms are a little bit more wide open on Rumble, so we usually get a little bit bigger crowd over there. So you can still chat with me here on the Rumble chat, and I can still see it because I see my dashboard shows both YouTube and Rumble. So if you do decide to chat and say something on Rumble, I'll see it. So anybody over there in the chat room on Rumble, type in there. Let me see if it works, and let me know because I want to see if the dashboard actually shows your comments. Red Silk was an Art Bell junkie. That's funny. But so anyways, what I was telling you something there, I was going to get into the thought process there, but the guy, I was listening to this guy on Art Bell, and he was a kid, right? He was a young guy, probably in his early 20s. He had gotten put in jail because he was experimenting with what he called a time portal. I don't know if any of you remember this, but this kid supposedly made a little small version of a time portal, and he threw like a nut or a bolt through it, and it disappeared. And he threw something really small into it, and it was made out of capacitor. I mean, he was a electronic kind of guy. He knew how to make stuff, and he was talking about how he did it. And he supposedly made this thing where it actually caused something to disappear, right? And then I don't know if it came back later on or what. Anyways, he decided he wanted to make a large one. Instead of a small one, he wanted to make a large one. So what he ended up doing was he went to this, I think it was like a substation. You know how they've got those big capacitors out there in the substations, where you see your little electricity area where there's all those big, and I'm not a person, I don't know anything about, I'm not an electrician, so I don't know anything about any of that stuff. But he was going on and on about how he went in there and he stole it. He stole something that was huge. That was meant for something that was on a large scale. And he built this thing and scaled it up, and he wanted to see if something bigger would disappear. And I think he threw a couch in there or something, and the couch disappeared, supposedly, right? So So this guy was talking. Everybody was like, Art Bell was just enamored with what he was saying and going on and on about how he actually had gone to jail because they actually caught him for stealing it. And I don't know if it was one that wasn't in use, right? It wasn't something like he just destroyed property. He took something that wasn't in use. It was a noble thief, noble reason for why he stole it, right? And so he made this thing, and so he gets put in jail, and he comes back, and so he calls Art Bell. Art Bell has him on, and he's talking to him about this, and he gives out his phone number. He literally gives out his phone number. So I wrote down his phone number really quick, because I'm going to call this guy, and I want to ask him questions about it, and I can't remember. It was so long ago, I can't remember all the details, but what ended up happening is I called him after the program was over. I called his phone. His phone was busy. And back then, I guess I didn't have nothing else to do, but I called him all morning long into the next day, into the next morning. And then about, 10, 11 o'clock the next day, because it was busy the whole time. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock the next day, he answers. He answers the phone. So I'm like, hey, I heard you on Art Bell, and I was just kind of curious. I want to ask you a bunch of questions today. So I started talking to him about stuff. And he started telling me, because I was asking him, well, what is the government? Have you had any problems with, people and I know he had said something about problems with government stuff. And I was like, do you think they got your phones tapped? And he goes, yeah, I know they do. And I said, how did you know? How do you know? How do you know they got your phones tapped? And he's like, because back then, phones were, the tapping of the phone was different. It was actually through the phone companies. They still did it. You didn't have to put an actual hard tap. You know how, they show you in the movies where they unscrew the thing and they put a tap side in this. They can listen to you talk and then they screw it back on. It wasn't like that. It was through the actual company, right? So he tells me, yeah, somebody called me and told me how I could find out if my phone was tapped. And he gave me this long number. He goes, you can do it. You can try it yourself. And it'll tell you yes or no whether you're tapped. And so he gives me this long number, and he tells me to type it in my phone, pick up my phone, type it in, and then you'll hear a series of beeps, beep, 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 beep. And he said, then after that, you'll hear this woman come on, and she'll repeat back your phone number. And then she'll give a few codes, and then it'll say yes, a Y for yes, or an N for no, something like that. And it, like I said, it's been a while, but it was something to the gist of that. And so I was like, okay, so after talking to him, I was like, asked him a bunch of questions, and I don't even really remember what I asked him. But this was probably, this had to have been 25 years ago, maybe 30 years ago. You know how long ago Art Bell was on. And by the way, he died under kind of mysterious circumstances, or at least he quit the talk show circuit that, he created something that nobody else had ever done. And there was some weird reasons for why he stopped. He actually came on and said he was being threatened. And he said it, it had something to do with some of the things that he talks about. But anyway, so after I got these numbers, I typed it into my phone, and my phone said no, like I wasn't being tapped, right? He said, when I do it, it says this, it says yes. So I was like, wow, that's amazing that this thing does this weird code, and that you hear this voice and it repeats all this stuff back to you. And then it tells you a code, and then it tells you yes if it's being tapped. And I was like, oh, that's bizarre. So that, I used to call on a local radio talk show, but it was kind of a Central California thing, but it went all the way up Northern California down to Southern California. And it was a regular talk show that was kind of popular. And every once in a while I would call in and talk to the guy about whatever they were talking about. Well, this one time I decided, okay, I'm going to call him and I'm going to talk about, I talked about other stuff, but I mentioned this. And he was real interested because he wanted to hear what I was talking about. So he told me, call me after the show, and I want to get that number from you, and I want to try it. Right? So we get off after I do the live call in, and I forget what I was talking about. It was some politics stuff, and so then he takes the number, the talk show guy, and let's see if I can remember his name. I'm trying to remember his name now. But anyways, he ended up trying it, and he said it didn't work anymore. And I was like, what? It just worked for me the other day. So I go and I try it, and it doesn't work anymore. The number does not work anymore. It doesn't do that little thing anymore. Like it doesn't. So whatever that number was that tells you if your phone's being tapped was no longer working after like 2 days, like after 2 days of me having it. And I gave it to other people, and they tried it, and they were like freaking out. They were like, wow, this is weird. You got this from that guy? I said, yep. He told me this, and it look at what it does. And then after that, when I went to the talk show host guy, and he was all interested in it too. He was like real interested to try it. And he tried it and it didn't work. And I was like, oh no. They stopped it. So I guess they changed it, like, for their spies or whatever. Back in the day, I guess they had to do it the weird old-fashioned way. That was kind of like probably old technology back then. But don't you think that's kind of weird? How many of you guys ever listened to Art Bell? And if you ever heard that broadcast, please refresh my mind on who that was. I thought it was pretty weird. But there's always weird stuff that you hear on Art Bell. I'm looking at some of your guys' questions here. Let me look on the other restream. If you're over on Rumble, let me see if I can see any Rumble chatters out there. I don't see any Rumble chatters out there. Nobody on Rumble is chatting, no? Either that or it's not chronicling your guys' comments. Let me just check and see. I'm just testing this on Rumble just to make sure it works. Because, as things start to progress and we start having live, I'm expecting like a whole cycle of news here sooner than later. And I'm not, everybody's expecting that Trump's coming in, everything's going to be fine. He's going to make peace with North Korea and Russia and China, and everything's going to, the economy of the world's going to come back, and, we're going to be booming once again, the head of nations, and everybody's going to bow to the U.S., and the almighty crypto dollar, the almighty crypto Bitcoin economy that America's going to be, and everybody's going to sing Kumbaya, and it's going to go back to the way it used to be. I don't know. I just don't think that's what's going to happen. I just don't. I mean, everybody says Trump's a miracle worker, and I kind of wonder, with all the stuff that I've been talking about, especially on the Patreon, to all the patrons out there, that for you guys that are on our Patreon account, how many of you guys have been watching some of those documentaries? Yeah, very interesting documentaries on things. We like to keep it on the down low over there. So let me see if anybody on. Okay, so there are people chatting on Rumble, a whole bunch of you, but I don't see you guys on my dashboard. That is really weird. I went over there. I went directly over to Rumble to see. The only people I can see chatting on my dashboard are. So I'm going to have to ask them about that. See, I think that I got Rumble to change. Remember how I told you guys I stopped doing Rumble because they weren't integrated with Restream, a Restream software? And I was like, I messaged the top guys over there because I kind of helped them in the past. I was one of the first live streamers on Rumble to start troubleshooting stuff. And so I messaged them again, and I said, you know what, you guys got glitches over here, and I can't keep doing this because I really want to focus and build the YouTube audience. There's a number of reasons for that, but I do love Rumble. I do love it, and I would stream to Rumble if you were integrated and your software worked with Restream. So now that it works, the only thing is that it's not allowing comments for some reason. That's kind of weird. So I guess the comments are not integrated yet. They did say they were working on a few things, so that's good, I guess. But anyways, so I'm just going to kind of focus on YouTube's chat, okay? So sorry, all you guys on Rumble. How many people are over on Rumble right now? Let's see how many people we got. I'll kind of look back and forth. Yeah, we got a number of people on Rumble. So a lot of you guys don't like YouTube, huh? Is that what it is? You just don't like YouTube at all, huh? You found William Cooper through Art Bell? Really? Yeah. Okay, this is people on Rumble talking. It's West, Sherry, what's going on? Wayne the Pain, Vuxod, and who else is over here? Super Dave. You're over here too, Super Dave. How can you be on two places at once? BBQ Rondo, Doc Oz, and Shofar 17, Team Alaska. Oh, so you're Team Alaska. Gotcha. Good to see you, man. So we're going to kind of do stuff like this, I think, and who knows? I'll take calls west of the Rockies and, east of the Rockies. Definitely the alien line will open up. The drone alien line I will open. Don't fear. We'll be talking about all kinds of interesting things. But no, really, just, chatting about the news is definitely what we want to kind of focus on. Obviously, you guys know that we do a lot of faith-based content as well. And so don't be dismayed if I bring in some relevant information from the Bible, from the Most High God and his counsel to bear upon the current news cycle. Because that's really what we need to find out is, what does God think about this? We can find out and know his will about specific things if you're a person of prayer and you're a person that truly dedicates and serves and seeks God without a whole bunch of religiosity. I'm not talking about being overly religious here, because I am not a person that wants to come across in any way as holier than thou, and as if I'm somehow above everybody else because I've got some kind of understanding or knowledge of the Bible. I think that everybody is on a pretty even level before God, no matter where you're at. God sees through all your pretenses. He sees through all your hypocrisies and all your and there are people that do have, and this is what I talk about a lot, is that there are people that refine their hearts and lives before God, and that you would say they're good, solid Christian, and they exhibit the presence of God in their life, which you would call holiness, right? Or a true righteousness. But it comes from God. It doesn't come from them. It's something that he does in their lives. And it's something that they recognize as being outside of themselves, but it does become a part of their experience. And it's because they yield to it. They yield to it very regularly on a regular basis. So like I said, we do talk about these things, and I do integrate it into our conversation about the news, just so you know, if you're a new person here. Gerardo, I see you out there rocking art. Good to see you. Treasure, Tracy, Arnold, Guy, what's going on? Let's see, who else is in the house here on YouTube? Guy says, if it were not for the Holy Spirit, I could not see the truth. That's absolutely right. Absolutely. Whatever truth it is, and I tell everybody, this recently, I said, everything that is in creation, God created it. Right? And if it's based on the laws that God institutes and initiated when he brought about the creation, it is truth. Physics, the laws of physics are truth. It's in a natural, tangible, everyday world that we live in. Now, God can supersede his creation. He can enter into time and space. He's above his creation. He's also, he also is a part of that creation. It is an extension of who he is. I'm not saying that the creation is God. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that the creation itself is a reflection of his power, his wisdom, his ability, and who he is. It's kind of like when you do some art. That art reflects who you are, right? It's not you, but it reflects who you are. If you make something and you're a craftsman, it reflects who you are. And that's kind of what the creation is in and of itself. You kind of look at it and realize, man, whoever brought this into being is obviously, you can only begin to imagine and fathom the mind and the being, I guess you would say, that is behind creation itself. That would include you and me. Now, we can perceive the thoughts of God if we receive his uncreated Holy Spirit, right? And that's what happens. You're talking about an eternal oneness that is given you've been given opportunity to, unite back with the Creator because of the fallen, the fall of man, the fall of the creation. And it says that the whole of creation is affected by the fall, or what we call the rebellion. And so once you're reunited, and he said it just right, the Spirit of God helps you to bring you back into right relationship with God, then you begin to see, sense, or perceive that reality that is above the creation, right? He has now condescended through Christ. Condescended, I like that word. He has humbled himself and took on the form of a servant, died the death of even a criminal, even on a cross, was buried, was raised from the dead, and ascended on, and was seen by men and angels, and then ascended to the very right hand of the throne of God's grace, and ever lives to make intercession for you and me. And that is our Passover. That is our sacrifice that literally cleanses us from that fallen nature. And that's in a nutshell. Okay, that's how you're going to perceive and understand God's creation. The only way you can ever understand it is if you have his perspective and the mind of Christ, right? And the Spirit of God helps you, leads us into all truth. If you don't have the Holy Spirit, how are you going to be led into all truth? How are you going to know the truth of who Christ is? Because it was the same Spirit, that raised Jesus from the dead. That same Spirit dwells in you and me, and it reveals to us the thoughts of God. So, I love to get into these topics and talk about it, in depth. But right now, we're gonna go into some of the news. I'm just gonna kind of update you guys on some of the new stuff. And yes, this has everything to do with what people are going through in life, whether it's war, whether it's seeing UFOs or drones out their windows, or potential economic upheaval with a new global order coming into being with all this technology that harkens right back to the book of Revelation and the prophetic insights into the latter days. It looks like this is exactly what we're seeing happen right now with all this technology. And I'll tell you what, the more I look into the technologies of today, the more it blows my mind. Have you guys heard about that new microchip called Willow? I'm not sure if it's a Google thing or it's a Microsoft thing. I don't know. It's called Willow. It's a quantum computer chip. Now, think about this. What happens when this quantum chip, and this thing can exceed any computer that you have by, it's like zillions of times. Like it can do a calculation that would normally take a computer, and it's just an obscene amount of time. I can't remember. It was like a zillion years. That's really what it sounded like. The way they explained it was like a zillion, billion, trillion, zillion years, right? It would take a normal computer that long to do a calculation of such a calculation. But with this new Willow quantum computer chip, it would only take 5 minutes. Think about that. This chip is so powerful that it can take all of that information that would take eons of time. I mean, if you were to calculate like light years, they were kind of likening it to light years. Like you can't even fathom how big of a number that is. It's like 10 to the 20th power or something like that. I can't remember. It was just an amazing amount of numbers. And you can do this with this new chip in 5 minutes. What would take that long? Like 10 to the 20th power or something like that. Anyway, it's called Willow. And can you imagine now how fast the calculations are going to be with AI's input as well? You've got these quantum computing networks. This is what Elon's doing. I think the big hive mind of these quantum computers are in Memphis, Tennessee. Did you guys hear about that? He calls it God. Like he says this is like a god. He calls it the AI God. And this power of computing and its ability to take all of the things that are happening now and really it's going to alter our experience. It's going to cause people to perceive other dimensions. They're talking about other dimensions. I'm telling you, our world is so far out there right now. I mean, in terms of technology and where it's going. I mean, you're talking about these portals that are being opened in the Vatican. I was looking into that a little bit, and there's like 5 doors now that they're opening. I guess they do this every 25 years. It's considered a jubilee. You know, the Jews have what they call a jubilee every 50 years. Well, they started this out back, I think, in the 1400s, the Catholic Church. And they started doing it once every 100 years. And then they, in the first 100 or so years, they put it down to 50. And then they said, no, let's do it down to 25 years. So they did it every 25 years. They would open up a door, and they call it a portal. And they were doing different doors over different periods of time. But this is the first time that they've done 5 doors, right? So they started on Christmas Eve, and I guess they're going to do the last open of the last portal. They call it a portal. They don't call it a door. And these doors are bricked up. Like after they're done, they brick it up. So they literally have to take the bricks down after 25 years, I guess. I don't know. And they call it a portal into a new, like, jubilee. Like it's a new time of forgiveness and absolution and redemption. You know, they kind of look at it like as if it's some kind of a saving ritual, like it's a saving ritual. So the new portal that they added was a portal out of a prison. So the Basilica prison, I didn't even know they have a prison there. Well, they got a prison in the Vatican area. I guess it's like its own little country. So they have a prison there, and they have a portal that they open there. So, you know, let the prisoners go free, right? I guess. But there's 5 of them this time. So they're opening up these 5 portals as a symbol of some kind of divine absolution, forgiveness, and union to man. When it's clearly stated in the Bible, Jesus said, I am the door. You know, unless you enter in through me, you cannot. You can't be saved. Anyone who comes through me will be saved. It says. I think it's John chapter 8 or somewhere in there, and it literally says you're going to be saved. You're going to be saved, and you'll go in and out, and you'll have pasture. Right? He's talking about the sheep going through the gate. Jesus said, "I am the gate. I am the door. I am the portal, if you will. I am the way to God. The only man comes through me." You know, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No man comes to the Father except through me, he said, right? So ultimate truth, ultimate pathway that you would trod in this world. And he's the ultimate life and truth, right? He said, I'm the way, I'm the truth, and I'm the life. And that's why they used to call Christians those of the way anyway. In the very beginning, they didn't call them Christians. They called them those of the way. They were people that followed the ways of Christ, that led through the portal of his own body, because that's what happened in the book of Hebrews. It says that at the time of the crucifixion, his body was pierced and it was torn at the very same moment as he gave up the spirit, that the temple was rent in two, right? And the veil was rent or torn from top to bottom. That veil was what kept, and the high priest could only go beyond that veil once a year, and that was the Day of Atonement, to go into the very presence of the presence of God, and the Ark of the Covenant was in there, right? And they would tie a rope to the priest's leg in case he died in there, because he had to go according to protocol. And if he wasn't a holy priest and there was something that he was doing that offended God, he would be smote dead, and they would have to pull him out. They couldn't go in there after him. They had to pull him out. Well, there was a curtain there, right? And this curtain was very thick. There's no way you could just rip this curtain. This is a thick curtain, and it's a very tall, very large curtain. When Jesus died on that cross, it says the curtain was torn from top to bottom, symbolizing that the way and the pathway of entering into God's presence was now made available through the death and the crucifixion of Christ and his blood atonement. That now in the book of Hebrews, it says, you have a new and a living way. You have access to the Father through Christ and through his body. It says, which is the veil, which is his body. So there's the portal. That's the portal you want to enter into. You don't want to go through the CERN portal, because they're doing all kinds of experiments with demonic entities there as well. And what's crazy is that they're using all of these technological advances, which you might call alien technology, to actually go through these portals. Now, another portal just I believe was opened on Mount Hermon. The Israelis took over Mount Hermon, which also is what many cultures and traditions in the area, in the vicinity, whether it's the borders of Syria, because it borders Syria, Lebanon, and Israel. All of those indigenous cultures going way back even call that mountain the Mountain of Oath, which they believe the Watchers, or the fallen angels, entered into time and space, or entered into our dimension, I should say. And that was when the men of renown, the Bible talks about the men of renown who had altered genetics that were affected by the union of both angels and humans or women. It says there were giants in the land, right? And that was another reason why the flood happened, was to get rid of as many of those hybrids, and they were hybrids. Well, they look at that mountain, Mount Hermon, as the portal by which these angels came. There was 200 of them. You can look it up in the book of Jubilees. You can look at, these are apocryphal books. These aren't actually books that you would find in the Bible, but they are apocryphal. The books of Jubilee, or the book of Enoch, talks about it. I believe there's another book. Well, Jude talks about it. The book of Jude talks about these angels that left their original status and sinned and came into a place where they shouldn't have been, and God put them in and bound them in chains, right? It also talks about it in the book of Genesis, where these angels came to, where they came to have relations with the sons of men. The sons of God came into the daughters of men, and there were giants in the land, right? Jesus said it this way, and this was during the days of Noah: as in the days of Noah, so would it be in the days of the coming of the Son of Man. And he talked about eating and drinking and giving in marriage, and there was going to be this mindset, almost implied by Jesus's words, about a parallel event that was going to be happening, which might harken back to the genetics being altered, or somehow hybrids of humans that might have something to do with this technology of portals. Okay, so what happened with this portal at Mount Hermon? They called it the Mountain of Oath, and you can look it up on Google. They came, the Watchers, they called them the Watchers. They came to this mountain, and they made an oath on the mountain to be bound by an oath to each other when they did this deed with human women. This was a part of their commitment in the rebellion against God's plan, because this was totally outside of God's will and plan. You can read about it in Jude. The book of Jude talks about it. And the book of Jude is just one chapter, so you can go and read the chapter about it. But they say that Mount Hermon is that portal, and that there was a reason why the Israelis took it. It's a high place, and you know that the powers of darkness are and gravitate toward high places like towers. You know, the towers of Babel and the Tower of Babel and other towers that people like to make, especially when they make them encode them with, I don't know, mathematical numbers that equal 666. And also they're structured in a certain way that also gives rise to an understanding of the occult significance of the secret societies, whether it's Masonic secret societies and or the Golden Dawn, going back to even Aleister Crowley's kind of thing. But, you know, you're talking about portals, and Aleister Crowley was all about portals. You know, his book about the Moonchild was about opening up a portal. And supposedly they succeeded in that portal, opening of that portal. And I talked about this too, that Jack Parsons, some of you guys might know a little more history about NASA, but Jack Parsons was a very integral part of getting NASA all this rocket technology because he was supposedly very brilliant. Where did he get all this information? Well, he was a high-level occult practitioner, and he was associated with Aleister Crowley. And you have to wonder because if you read the book of Enoch, the Watchers gave humanity technology. They were able to give them information on different technologies. Okay? So Jack Parsons had all of this information that he brought to NASA to help supposedly get us to the moon. I mean, look at Elon Musk. Look at Elon Musk. I mean, calling fire from heaven. He's literally calling these rockets down out of the heavens. It's kind of biblical if you want to put him in that place of being the right-hand man of a certain global ruler. Ultimately, that's going to save the world from World War III. Is he really going to save the world from World War III? Well, in a certain way, he might for a price, for a little deal. And the deal might be that your soul is going to be taken if you go along with it. Yeah, it's all about the technology. It's all about what do they call it? The devil juice. They want to impose all this devil juice on everybody. And by the way, there's another wave of this crazy experience we had in 2020 coming. I'm not going to say the word here because we are still on YouTube. It is coming back, and it looks like they're talking quite a lot about it in the news right now. And supposedly there's been the first case in California, and they're culling chickens, and they're going to be doing this to cows. It's going to be all your dairy, and you're not going to be able to find eggs in the store. We told you this was coming a year or more ago. Did we not? How many of you guys have been following us? We've been telling you to get your eggs because your eggs are going to eventually, they're going to disappear. They're going after the chickens. They're going after the backyard gardening and farmers, little backyard farmers. They don't want this for a reason because they're controlling the food and everything else. And it's a way to control, and especially with the new technologies to track and trace everything. They're definitely getting into the nanotech now to get into your physical body. You're going to become a node. And I just think that all this technology is so out there, but most people are like, what? That haven't heard this. They're like, this sounds so far out, like space, Odyssey or what do you call it? Star Trek kind of thing. But the more you study it, the more it blows your mind. And you can go back and look at all the patents and everything else and really just listen to what they're saying. And I mean, just looking at this one group or this company or corporation that is called Palantir. I mean, look at Palantir. That's connected very closely to Trump and to Vance, his vice president. And this is the technology that is going to literally, it's like the infrastructure of all of this technology. This company called Palantir. And I think if you look at the name of it, it's called Palantir. Palantir. I'm sorry, Palantir. It's called Palantir. And it's basically I'll read you a little bit about what it is. Why we're here. We believe in augmenting human intelligence, not replacing it. Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what Elon said, right? Augment your own understanding of your own brain so that you can control the AI, right? Or control the, have a quantum computing system within your own being, and your brain is in there working it. By the way, they said that some of these chips actually have these quantum computing type chips actually have human flesh in them too. Have you heard that? Is that true? I think that I've heard something about this, and I wouldn't doubt it. It says with good data, and I'll put it on the screen here so you can see it. See, I got that Art Bell song stuck in my head. Ding, 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 ding. I'm telling you, it's like Art Bell. Like we're in Art Bell time, like the crazy, weird, paranormal, occult stuff. Telling you, it's true. Okay, so it says this is Pantera, and this symbol is also an occultic symbol up here. This little zero with the book. They say it could be a person looking at a book, but it could also be what was it? It had something to do with assimilation, I think. But anyways, and this might be what they call the not the synchronicity, but the what was the word now? I forgot the word. Where we singularity, where we all become one with technology. Technology literally becomes one with humanity. And we actually have like this hive mind super intelligence that becomes a part of the human consciousness, that we all become connected as well. And this is very creepy stuff, but it's real. And it's actually happening. And it's going to be happening at, you thought warp speed was something really cool, or maybe you didn't. Well, you're going to either be on the one side that thinks it's even the coolest thing that's ever happened, the most awesome and most amazing and most miraculous thing that's ever happened, or you're going to be like, this is hell itself, opening its jaws to devour humanity. This quantum, and when you talk about quantum leaps or quantum powers or quantum computers, or you talk about, this hybrid technology that's somehow wedding itself to human biology, our human being and our brains, and then you got the AI intelligence working with this quantum. This is like what they call that warp speed. You're literally going to be going at warp speed in your brain with this technology. And how do they get it in there? Oh, I always like to say this because people don't remember what like Elon said, and I've got it all on tape. I mean, you can go find it. It's hard. I think they kind of try to scrub this stuff off, or at least hide it. But Elon is literally talking to a couple on stage, and they're asking him, well, Elon, the guy's like, they're all excited about this technology. Like, this is amazing. We're going to have like computers in our brains, and we're going to have like the ability to think like crazy. Like we're going to like be like supercomputers. And he's like, yeah, we are. They're like, well, how do we get it in there, Elon? Like, are they going to do surgery in our brain? Is that how they get it in there? The chip in our brain? And he's like, well, not to be macabre, but it's not going to be an invasive surgery. It's going to be something more like through your veins and arteries. We can put it in through your veins and arteries. And he's like looking up like all, how he always, when he talks, he's like all in another world. I'm listening to my alien technologies right now. Hold please. Yeah, and not to be macabre, but we can literally put it right into your jugular. And then he laughs. like, really? Seriously? Through our jugular vein. You're going to get this, you're going to coat the cerebral cortex so that it becomes an interface to the AI. And you now are a supercomputer. Your soul is no longer there. You have been taken over by the Antichrist beast system. You are now one with the Borg. Hive mind mentality. You will do as we say. Did you ever see that movie? Did you ever see that movie Cell? If you haven't seen that movie Cell, You can go on YouTube, and I think you can see like the just put in movie Cell, Cell, and just watch the trailer on that. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like in a kind of a crude form. This is kind of like a crude kind of, like message that was embedded within a movie. This is kind of what it is. And if you ever get a chance to watch that movie, watch it, because there's like an Antichrist figure in it, and they're using technology. They're using cell towers, to beam this information into people, and they say they're going to control a lot of this through radio frequency. A lot of this technology is guided in manipulating things that are going on inside your body through radio frequency waves. And that's what the whole 5G thing is about, I bet. The 5G and the 6G. They even got 6G supposedly coming. But 5G, they really don't even use 5G yet. From what I understand, most phones aren't even on 5G yet. They haven't even really launched that yet. And I don't know if it has something to do with whatever else is going on in the body, because, they really wanted us to take that stuff so bad, the devil juice. You know how bad they wanted you to take it? I mean, literally, like they were begging you to take it. They were like telling you, oh my gosh, we'll give you like $1,000 if you'll take it. Like you like hamburgers, you want joints for jabs. What you like weed? We'll give you free weed. Oh, you like Hustler? Well, we'll get you a club membership to Hustler if you'll take it. Or what was the other one? Candy for kids? I'll pull up a van. Here, we got candy, kids. All you got to do is just take this little thing and what else were they trying to give away? I mean, they were giving away hamburgers. I mean, this is, this had to be Trump, man, because he loves those McDonald's. They were giving away Big Macs with fries and everything. Man, oh man, just to go ahead and take it for free. And if you didn't take it, they were going to start paying you. They started paying you $100, and then at a certain point, it went all the way up to $1,000 for a little bit there. And then they realized, oh, nobody else was taking it. Well, let's just start threatening people, telling them they're going to get fired, or they're going to lose grandma. They're not going to be able to see grandma, and she's in the hospital. And you're not going to be able to go see your kid when he's being born, and the mask is not going to work, but you're going to be isolated and you can't come back. Well, just wait. It's coming back. It's all coming back. And I think it's coming back with a vengeance, and it won't even be anywhere close to what we experienced back then. It's going to be much worse. But anyway, this is the Pantier thing. Let me just go back. In 2004, when we looked at the available technology, we saw that products that were too rigid to handle novel problems and custom systems that took too long to deploy and required too many services to maintain and improve. We saw automated approaches that failed against adaptive adversaries, and all or nothing access controls that forced organizations to make unacceptable trade-offs between collaborating and securing sensitive data from misuse. Okay, we saw the need for a different kind of technology, and we knew it would take a different kind of company to build it. That's why we founded Palantir. Now, that really doesn't tell you a whole lot, but it's all kinds of crazy, technology that is all having to do with this quantum stuff. They want to make sure that they're telling you, we're not replacing your intelligence. We're not going to be just putting a computer chip in your brain and shutting your brain off. No, we're going to help facilitate your thinking from within. And yes, it's from within. It's not something that you're going to have on your little Palm Pilot or your little phone that's going to help you. No, your phone is going to be assimilated into your brain. And everything's going to be seen through your retinas, and you're going to hear it in your head, and you're going to be thinking it. And then if they don't like what you're doing, they'll pinch you, they'll poke you, I don't know, you're going to be like a zombie where they can just control every little aspect of who you are. But anyways, that's it. That's what true possession is, right? Right there. That is possession. That's why You don't want to take it. Don't take it. Don't take it. All right, west of the Rockies. I should take phone calls. What do you think? Should I just start taking phone calls? Maybe that would be like in the let me look at some of the news here. Eat cilantro. Where is Scott on that one? Don't forget, eat cilantro. Scott loves cilantro. Scott, are you out there listening? Okay, so I guess we're getting some need a good call-in show. I don't want to have the same fate as Art Bell, though. Art Bell had it. Didn't turn out too well for Art Bell. Let's see. So let's go ahead and look at this. Houthis are now threatening Israel once again. They sent in some more missiles that were supposedly shot down before they came in. But the Houthis have stated our response is imminent. So they're saying it's going to happen imminently. I guess this little barrage here and there is not the real attack. It's not the real attack. They said our response is imminent. Israeli aggression will not go unpunished. The government, military, and security forces continue to act to protect the rights, dignity, and security of the Yemeni people. We emphasize that our support for the Palestinian people will continue until the aggression against Gaza stops and the siege is lifted. I don't know if it's already too late. I mean, geez, they pounded these people into the dust. What are you talking about? Trying to, the whole Muslim world is kind of looking kind of weak at this point because, Israel has basically just grinded them into the dust, jumping on top of it now. They're just jumping on what's left of whatever's left. And they're going to what? They're going to protect the dignity? How are they going to do that when it's already gone? Everything's already destroyed over there, isn't it? I mean, geez. How's it going, A-Dub? A-Dub. Abdub. A-Dub, how's it going? Scott, come on, man. You got to eat your greens. You got to start loving it, living it, imbibe it, ingest it, digest it. Just chew on it like a cud. Just use it like chew. Just stick it in a big old wad inside of your lip. I know Maria would love it if you start doing that because it's so healthy for you, man. It's just so healthy. That's just an inside joke between me and Scott. That's an inside joke for those that have been here a long, long time. Make fun all you want. I've been researching. Deborah, what do you mean? What have you been researching? Cilantro is great. I love it, man. I put it on everything if I've got it. I'm gonna try to grow a bunch of it this next year. All right, so what else we got here? We've got all 4 airports inside of Moscow, Russia. So they have 4 airports inside of Moscow have been temporarily shut down with no explanation given. I don't know if they're still shut down. Let's go ahead and take a look. Moscow airports. Let's see if they're still shut down. 17 hours ago, they were shut down. They said unspecified security reasons. It says that let's see, this is cryptic. Let's see. Russia closes all Moscow airports as aviation watchdog issues cryptic statement. Cryptic. I wonder what the cryptic statement was. In a statement, Rosavisia said, quote, aircraft crews, air traffic controllers, and air support services are taking all necessary measures to ensure flight safety. I wonder what that means. Very cryptic. The statement comes amid reports a Russian missile defense system may have been responsible for the Azerbaijani Airlines plane crash yesterday that killed 38 people. Yeah, so they're saying that Russia may have actually targeted the civilian plane and brought it down with a surface-to-air missile. Azerbaijani, and they say there were Russians on there too. So I don't know if it was a mistake. I wouldn't see why they would want to do that unless there was somebody, high-level target on there they wanted out. Sometimes they'll do stuff like that. They just sacrifice everybody on the plane. But you never know. But it doesn't have any updates on, I don't see any updates on this. Let me do a real quick search on time here. Let me see the last hour. Let's see. God with us. Putin makes dramatic comment after Russia. Let's see. After Russian victory in many war zones, vows victory. Yeah, Russia is making a lot of gains right now in the wars the war that they're undertaking here. I don't see any updates. Okay, so 19 minutes ago, oh, this is weird. This is coming from Yahoo. This was just 19 minutes ago. 19 minutes ago, and I just happened to click on this. Is this weird? Late night with Robert finds a new talking point, which everybody's going to be talking about here, I'm sure. This was just 19 minutes ago. This is coming from Reuters. Russia warns the United States on possible nuclear testing under Trump. Oh, I see. So they're warning us about testing nukes, and they don't want Trump to do it. Is that what they're saying? Okay. Russian arms control point man cautioned Trump incoming administration on Friday that Moscow was considering a whole range of possible steps on nuclear testing due to what it said was Trump's radical. Oh, okay. So they're going to do it, not the U.S. I thought maybe they were warning us about nuclear testing. Okay, so they're going to do it because they're scared of Trump. What they said was Trump's radical position on the issue. Wow. The Kommersant newspaper quoted Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rabkov, who oversees arms control, as saying that Trump took a radical position on the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty during his first term. The international situation is extremely difficult at the moment. The American policy in its various aspects is extremely hostile to us today. So the optionality of our actions in the interest of ensuring security and the complex of possible measures and actions to realize this and to send politically appropriate signals in addition to what practitioners are considering does not contain any exceptions. I have no idea what that means. That was very... Maybe it's just late. My brain's not operating or something. I love it when people talk way over the top of me, and I'm just like, okay, they are really smart. I have no idea what they're saying. Like, that was just way above my ability to comprehend. I think I need an AI chip in there somehow to figure this one out. Where's that AI chip? During Trump's first 2017-2021 term as president, his administration discussed whether or not to conduct the first U.S. nuclear test since 1992, the Washington Post reported. Post-Soviet Russia has not carried out a nuclear test. The Soviet Union's last test was in 1990. President Putin has said that Russia would consider testing a nuclear weapon if the United States did. Since the Soviet Union collapsed in 91, only a few countries have tested nuclear weapons, according to the Arms Control Association. The United States last tested in 1992, China and France in 96, India and Pakistan in 98, and North Korea in 2017. When they test, it's like saying, hey, look what we got. We got nukes, and we're thinking about using them. That's what the test is all about, I think. It's just to make everybody's, ooh, they're pulling out their nukes. Look what they just did. All right, so what else do we got here? All right, let's see what else we got before we go, because we're almost done here. This is it. Oh, they showed the crash of that plane. Let's see if I can pull that up for you guys real quick. The plane. Look, boss. The plane. It's crashed. Tattoo. Yes, boss. The plane has crashed. That is right. On Fantasy Island. All your dreams can come true. The first contact between official authorities of the United States from President Trump and Russia, President Putin, will take place on January 20th, 2025. At the event of Trump's inauguration. What? Is Putin going to be there? Or is he going to make a phone call? The situation line. I had heard that Trump invited Xi Jinping to his inauguration. Did you hear that? Is that true? The Israeli Air Force continues to pound Lebanon. That's happening right now, it looks like. Here is Lebanon right at the moment. Let's see. What do we got here? Oh, yep. Bombs are bursting in air. That's pretty close to where that guy is. Man, oh man. That is very close. Gosh, I don't want to see this. I want to see it, but I don't want to see it. That's why I have to look. Hold on. Oh my gosh. This is terrible. These are all bodies. Ukrainians stacked up like in body bags. Oh my gosh. So many dead people. So sad. Some of these videos that you see on here, it just blows your mind on Telegram, especially when you're going into these channels that are like directly in the conflict, you know, and they're getting footage and they're posting it on Telegram. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. And you know, people don't see this on their daily news, so they're insulated from it. They don't really have an awareness of what's going on and the reality of what war is. And, you know, this could happen here in America, you know, if things go south for our dollar. You know, this is where everything falls apart if the dollar is repudiated. You know, there's a lot of countries right now that are jumping ship from the dollar, the U.S. dollar, and they're going over to the BRICS. I heard a couple more countries that are signing on to the BRICS. And once there's a tipping point where there's more countries on the side of the BRICS than there are on the side of the U.S. dollar, then it's like, you know, and they're de-dollarizing their countries. It's not good. That's when everything falls apart. And it falls apart economically. It falls apart militarily because we go to war. And that's why wars start, over the economics of things. And Trump is a person that I think would go to war in a heartbeat if it meant, a possible saving of what he's trying to accomplish here. Now, maybe he's got a bigger plan for more of a global kind of influence. And maybe there's something more that he's going to do to make a deal about bringing this global peace when all these things begin to happen. I don't know. But anyway, it's kind of late, guys, so I think I'm going to head out. Gonna head off into the snow set because it's starting to snow where I'm at. I don't know what's going on with where you're at, but we're starting to get some cold weather now. Make sure that you thumbs up this video and share it, and also get connected to our Patreon group. You can become a free member and get all the free updates, but if you want to get deep into the dive of information that we share and disclose only to those who are supporters of the channel, make sure you become a supporter. I saw that you got on there, Scott. I saw that. Very good. So become a supporter of what we're doing and get connected to Patreon. It's a great way to find out things that you're not going to normally find. A lot of this stuff we won't post because some of it's a little bit, a little controversial. And we also have meetings too. So if we have an impromptu Zoom chat, you're going to hang out with us. We'll put the links in to the Patreon so that you can find it. If you're one of the supporters, you get to get connected to our in-house think tank. I'll say prophetic think tank, because it does go over the news. And we do try to talk about how it relates to biblical prophecy. But we do get into the depths of the technologies too, and all the news and how it all connects. It's all connected. Everything is connected. You can't just separate theology and spirituality from, politics and everyday life, because it's not supposed to be separated. It's supposed to be, you're in the world, you're not of it, but you're in it, and you're navigating through it, and you have to deal with the conflicts that, it's kind of like a battle. There are opposing forces that are going to try to stop what you represent. And that kingdom of God is a very real kingdom. It is a very real influence, and a very powerful influence at that. It is the name that is above every name. And at the name of Jesus, every knee will bow and every tongue will confess that he is Lord over all, right? His kingdom is forever, and his kingdom is within us. It's not just in us, but it will be manifest. Yeah, and I think that's what the New Jerusalem is. It says the New Jerusalem that comes from out of the heavens. It says is the mother of us all. And this is when the new heavens and the new earth, wherein dwells righteousness, is going to come into being. But in the meantime, this heavens and this earth that we're a part of now is going to go through some tribulation. I hope everybody's ready. They might project their hatred and their reasons for why it's happening onto the Christians at a certain point. And that's what the persecution is. There is going to be great persecution that's going to happen. Be prepared for that. Saints, if you're out there, you should know this was predicted. We're going to have persecution. We're probably going to be going through some big time tribulation here right about now. And it's coming. So I hope you're all ready for that. That's why we have the catacomb of Patreon. We go into the catacombs and have our meetings over there. Okay. Early Christians used to have to do that. They used to have to they used to have to do things a little bit more wisely and wise as a serpent, innocent as a dove. Don't be stupid. Don't be getting out there where they're going to chop your head off too quick. Unless God calls you to that, try to avoid and preserve life as long as possible to save as many as you can in the process. But this world is definitely not our home. So we're definitely passing through. And I hope you're all had a great holiday. If you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah, you're still in the midst of Hanukkah. Our family does kind of a Hanukkah type celebration adapted to our understanding of Scripture, and we're still in the midst of that. So we just want to wish you a happy New Year as well as it comes in. And we'll be talking to you guys real soon. So stay tuned. And yeah, maybe we'll open up phone lines eventually here. We'll do like an open mic, open call format on certain topics that we get into. What do you think? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you agree with that, let me know in the comment section. Also, thumbs up the video, and we'll talk to you guys soon. God bless. Have a great night.